Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the devCodeCamp Alumni Spotlight. My name, of course, is Carl Peterson, devCodeCamp social media producer. And if you're coming back, you know that I absolutely love doing these because it always leads to a wonderful conversation. And I can guarantee you, with the conversation we're going to have today, I'm going to be able to say the exact same thing at the end. Hey, just so you know, we are on Spotify and any of your favorite streaming platforms for podcasts. Type in devCodeCamp Podcast. You're likely to find us, as well as YouTube. Type in devCodeCamp on YouTube, and you can watch this video of this alumni spotlight, plus all the ones we've done previously. So make sure to catch us there. But without further ado, I will not keep the audience waiting for this one. Starting off with that first question, introduce yourself. What is your name? And also, when did you attend devCodeCamp?
Hey, Carl. Well, hey, first, just gonna say it's great to be here. So I actually attended, I should start with my name, of course, Adam Ryback, and I attended Dev Code Camp basically from early this year, just when the Flex program started, through ending about this past July, and just switched right over from there to starting to work as a developer.
Fantastic. Well, Adam, thank you so much for being here. And we're going to touch on a few things that you just said, but I would like to know, you did say that you are a developer now. What exactly do you do for work?
Yeah, so I guess the exact title would be Software Engineer 1. But simply put, I'm living the dream of what I wanted to do when I left Dev Code Camp.
So you mentioned that you are a graduate of the devCodeCamp Flex courses. So as a little bit of a two-part follow-up question, one, why did you decide an accelerated boot camp to learn how to code? And then the second half of that, why the Flex option?
Gotcha. Well, when I started looking at the options, I just was basically, trying to discern, what would be the best, career path for me? What would I enjoy most? Would fit well with my personality? And I looked at the idea of, all right, so I really want to be, in like software development was the idea. And from there, kind of broke down to like a few options. I was like, I could either like go back, get like a master's degree, which for me more general IT, go ahead and go at a community college or do a boot camp like Dev Code Camp. So when I looked at those three options, the master's program was like, okay, this is like 2 years long and it's going to be a ton of money. And at the end of the day, the most important thing is just to get a job as soon as possible. Like that seems the most important thing. And then I was like, okay, it's almost the same thing for the community college, except for it's cheaper. So it's like, okay. And then I was like, all right, so Dev Code Camp is. I was like, I want to do this. I know I want to. And then it happened to be that option was that I could still work full time. So it's like, I could still work full time. I could still make it happen. It's like, this is awesome. This is like a perfect, like the perfect fit. Because I was, I couldn't really I just don't think I really could have made it happen where I would just like take 2 years off my life or even the 3 months. And then it's like, all right, and then it's still, job hunting after that. So it was this really nice combination, Carl. So that's why I did it. Did I get both your questions there?
Yeah, no, absolutely. It definitely sounds like the stars absolutely aligned for you. And I'm so glad you found that flex option because that's exactly what it's made for, right? People who don't want to or aren't able, which is a lot of people, to do the full time. So that's really wonderful that you did have those stars aligned and everything worked out, especially your success today. So that's fantastic as well. So during the flex course, let's dive a little bit into that. Were you one of these people who were able to grasp the concepts and what the instructors were teaching easily?
No, I wish. I mean, at some of the earlier concepts, yeah, I could do that as well. But I mean, at the end of the day, it was tough. I don't think there was any way around that. It was difficult concepts. As I said, beginning of things was very easy, but I think my instructor, Pasco, he would always go, I think he just broke it down like it was almost like a roller coaster you're going through. You get a little bit of bump. And I can kind of see where he's getting at, where it would be like that. At the end of the day, it was just a lot about just really just being committed to doing it each day. And that was the only thing you could do. Yeah, but I'm not sure if easy. Some days, yeah, but there was enough difficulties where I can't say that.
No, sure, absolutely. And I was expecting, that it's a 50-50. You can go one way or the other, obviously, but
Mhm.
it is tough. Yeah, it is challenging. You're learning a lot in a very short amount of time. You mentioned your instructor was Pascal, who is just a ray of sunshine. I love interacting with him every chance that I get.
Mhm.
Was he able to kind of get you easily from point A to point B, do you believe? Was he kind of that guiding light during this?
Yeah, I mean, the way I would describe working with Pascal is that he just always gave way more than he was supposed to. He always went like above and beyond, what I needed. Not to say that after like every meeting it was like, oh, now I get the concept. That I'm not going to say that. I mean, that's just part of the learning process.
Right.
But it was rather that I was just so thankful that he was my instructor. He just was so helpful every step along the way. It was never like when I was working with him, it was never like he was just clocking in and clocking out. It was he gave me that all those steps along the way. I was so thankful to work with him. I imagine the other instructors are great too, and I did have a chance to interact with them. But yeah, it was so nice working with him because it was like, even though because in the flex program, I know things are probably going to change how they do them and whatnot. But there's certain times when you do clock in, you work with the instructor a couple times a week. And it was never felt like, all right, well, I guess it's at time and I just need to get going. He took the time. Now, I hope I don't get in trouble from Paul for saying that because I know you don't want people running over every day. Um, but it was a great experience working with him.
That's fantastic. No, you're not going to get in trouble with Paul by any means, although he's definitely a character as well. But I'll make sure that Pascal gets what you said. That's very kind. I'll
Mhm.
make sure that he watches this. I'm sure he will, anyways. But that's great that you had that
Mhm.
as well. So for those that are currently listening or watching that
Mhm.
are in a current student in one of these flex courses, or even somebody who wants to be a future student for one of
Mhm.
these flex courses. This is a big question, Adam, but
Mhm.
what would you say the secret to success is in our boot camp?
That's a great question. I think that the main thing is just showing up every day. Not you shouldn't take a day off, right? I mean, take Sunday off by all means. But I think if you're in the boot camp, you have to be willing to commit to it on a daily basis. Um, like I don't think it's going to work very well if you say, "Hey, just Tuesday nights and Saturdays, I'm going to just see how much I can do." Maybe feel a lot smarter than I am, perhaps. But I thought that it was very effective to make sure that each day you're coming in. Even it's like saying, "Hey, every day for an hour, I'm doing this, Monday through Friday," and then of course, I think it makes some sense to try and make sure you do more, like on Saturday, of course. But I think you do need to make sure you're clocking in every day, day in and day out to make sure you're doing it. Because otherwise, I think it's going to be rougher. And not only that, but you're going to find, I think, that you're going to forget the concepts too. You're just not going to remember them. It's hard enough remembering the concepts from like week to week. Because each week it's going to be building, right? And I think what you're going to want to do is make sure you're doing it just about every day, so that way you're not losing that repetition. So I think that's going to be key to anybody who's in it or currently doing it.
That's really great advice. That's just as a developer, that's really great advice. Not even in the boot camp. That's, staying on top of it, keeping your mind
Mhm.
sharp. It's wonderful advice. So obviously, doing the flexible option, um, you have a lot of there is a lot of like self-discipline for
Mhm.
doing it every day or making sure you stay on
Right.
top of it, like you just mentioned. What advice would you give to the same group of people on how to stay motivated and excited during the flex
Mhm.
course?
Well, I guess one thing I would say is maybe try and like write down your goals every day. So I would do that right before I'd program. I had a little bit of routine at a certain point. I'd write down my goals, and it was actually one of the things which was rather cool. I hope this is an okay aside, but when
Absolutely.
I had like a goal down for like what I want to become an engineer. I wanted to become a developer at a certain date. And I it like lined up just like that. I mean, it was a little late. It was a month longer than I wanted to, but I cannot complain at all. It was like, but it was such a cool feeling. So I
Phenomenal.
had one. That was so exciting. You have no idea. But I'd say, yeah, one, write down your goals. I listened to a motivational video, just like trying to like pump myself up. Um, get a cup of coffee or something, while you're coding. That was helpful. And I would pray as well. I would do that was kind of my combo as I got started every single day. And I think it does help because there's going to be days that you're just going to not want to code. I mean, especially for the flex program, right? You're working full time probably, or in fact, working part time. You're still not going to want to do it. It's like, yeah, you have this dream, yeah, you love developing, but you need to have a discipline to it where it's going to be easy. You want to do something, because you need to clear your schedule. What is it, 6 days out of the week? You're going to want to break, especially after working. So that's a little my 4-step program. And I hope it's helped someone else out as well.
That's great, Adam. Once again, not only relevant to current students or future students, but also developers as well. That's also great advice. So you're
Yeah.
2 for 2.
Well, actually, I still write down my current goals in the morning when I show up to work as well. So yeah,
Yeah,
spot on.
that's a really great way to do it. Really great advice. So let's back up a little bit. Let's talk about your life before, your professional journey before devCodeCamp. What line of work were you in?
So I think I kind of describe it in like sales or sales related roles, basically. So I started off working at a financial services company, an investment firm, and after that at a media company. So after I went to work at a different company, it was also discernment of what I wanted to do. And I took some time to do that. Just from I started like on a very broad scale and narrowing it down. And eventually I narrowed it down to that I wanted to get into software development. And I started trying to like teach myself a certain way too, and I had a great friend who was very helpful and helped me out. But I wasn't doing it in a fast way. I knew I needed something more structured, and eventually it was great. So my company was very kind. I asked my manager, and she was very happy to say that, hey, she didn't mind if I was studying at night. She told me it was going to be a lot, and it was. I didn't actually. I think it was going to be. If anybody wants to be dispelled of that, it's not going to be a lot of work. You should probably figure that out. Pardon the programming pun. But you definitely want to know that. But that's what I would say.
That's wonderful. That's a wonderful background. And also, you're totally right. Self-teaching code is just a lot. It's a very challenging goal.
Yeah,
for sure.
I'm impressed by the people doing it. There's so many people who do, but those people aren't me.
Yeah, sure. What does a typical workday look like for a software engineer?
For a software engineering, really, it's just kind of I guess part of it's I've only been a month in at this point. So I can't give the best example, but really it's just about jumping in the morning. I try and dive in and perhaps like with some personal learning to start the day. Have a daily stand-up. And then after that, going in and just diving in right away, working on a project. I don't know if it's actually, terribly complex. I guess you'd say if you're in the program or going to be, it's basically like that, just what you're doing, but doing it for 8 hours instead of 2 or 1 or whatever it is that you're budgeting each day.
And a paycheck.
Yeah, and a paycheck. That's great too.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, so far it's not really been in certain ways terribly different than what I was doing when I was in devCodeCamp. Obviously you do study, but I guess it's really just what you were doing.
Sure.
So if you're already in it, it's like, hey, obviously the introductory course is watching some more videos, of course, but really it's already kind of what you're doing right away.
Well, that's good, right?
Mm-hmm.
Very easy step over, plus the added benefits. So that's wonderful. So Adam, we're already wrapping up this conversation. I have 2 questions left for you.
Okay.
Is being a working professional developer in technology, is it what you expected going in, or is it a little bit
Mhm.
different? What was your
You know,
mentality?
no, it's 100% what I was going for. I wanted, this is the job that I wanted. And I ended up in a company, very fortunate where it's very much like exactly what I want. Like so far, it's been just a great organization to work with, great people to work with as well. Um, yeah, it's exactly what I was going for. And man, I couldn't be more thrilled about that. It panned out. I mean, I don't know. I can't, I've talked to other devCodeCamp graduates and I don't think everything lined up as quickly as for everyone else. And man, I couldn't be more thankful, to be honest. It worked out so well.
That's great. That's great, Adam. Everyone I know inside the devCodeCamp virtual house, the virtual walls, are all very excited for you. So even though you're a month in, don't take away from that success. You've done quite a bit already. So congratulations on that.
I appreciate that, Carl.
Absolutely. So we are already on the last question. So last but not least, I wanted
Mhm.
to ask you what your favorite part of being a developer is.
Well, I think my favorite part, in terms of like the day to day, is when you're going through a problem and you go ahead and you figure it out. But you've just been banging your head on, you've been trying to figure out, because you're going to go through that where you're going through and you're not sure, oh man, what am I doing here? This makes no sense. And it's a struggle. But when you go and you figure out that solution, there is nothing which feels better than that. It's just so exciting, that you just go ahead and you solve that problem. That's the exciting thing about being a software engineer when you get that feeling. I love that. So that's it for me.
Yeah, makes total sense, Adam. It's a lot like working on a puzzle for a really long time and then finally accomplishing it. It's a feeling
Mhm.
of pride and joy and a relief also in a lot of ways that doesn't go away. So that's perfect. That's a great answer.
Oh,
So Adam, that's it, my friend. Thank you so much again for your time, for your insight, a little bit
mhm.
of a highlight of your journey through your career and also the devCodeCamp Flex Bootcamp. I really thank you for your time today, and I thank you everybody for listening as well or watching, however you're consuming this. I told you it was maybe a great one, and yet again, I got a perfect record for it, Adam. I say it every time, and I know it. I know they always end up well. So I'm glad I'm able to say that once again. So Adam, thank you so much for your time, and thank you everybody as well for giving us just a little bit of your time today. My name again is
Yeah.
Carl Peterson, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks again, Adam.
Hey, thanks so much, Carl. It was a pleasure to do this. Thanks so much.
Absolutely. Bye bye, everybody.